Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into the dusty, blood-soaked world of ancient Rome, but not as spectators. We're going to imagine what it was really like to be a gladiator, to feel the heat of the sun on your back and the cold steel of a blade in your hand. Picture yourself there, standing in the tunnel, the roar of the crowd washing over you like a tidal wave. The air smells of sweat sand and something coppery, something you'll soon get to know intimately. And a quick reality check, you probably wouldn't survive your first week. Statistically speaking, the odds are not in your favor. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're listening from and what time it is for you. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You don't remember how you got here. One moment there was the familiar sting of a cold lash on your back, the rhythmic creak of a galley oar, and the salty spray of the sea. The next, a blinding glare, a cacophony of foreign sounds, and a rough shove that sends you stumbling onto a patch of hard-packed earth. Your head throbs and your limbs feel like lead. The scent of hay and unwashed bodies fills your nostrils, thick and cloying. You're in a room, or more accurately, a cell with a dozen other men who look just as bewildered and terrified as you are. They are a mix of defeated soldiers, shackled criminals, and a few others whose stories you can only guess at. All of you are bound by one grim certainty. You are now the property of a man named Bato, a lanista, or owner of a gladiatorial school. The lanista is a businessman, and his merchandise is you. You will quickly learn that he doesn't care about your past, your name, or your family. He cares about your potential to bring him wealth and fame. Your value is measured in your muscle, your speed, and your willingness to kill or be killed for the entertainment of the Roman public. Your new home is the Ludus, the training school. It's a cramped, filthy place a world away from the grand villas and marble temples you've heard about. Your days are a relentless cycle of training. Meager meals of barley and dried figs and a few hours of uneasy sleep on a straw-filled pallet. The other men around you are your competitors, but also in a strange way, your only companions. You're all in the same boat adrift in this brutal new reality. The first few weeks are a blur of pain and exhaustion. Your body, accustomed to the slow grind of manual labor, is pushed to its limits. You learn to wield a wooden sword or rudis against a large post called a palace. Your arms ache, your back screams, and your palms are covered in blisters. The instructors, retired gladiators with scars for stories, bark orders at you in a language you barely understand. They show no mercy. A mistake, a moment of hesitation, is met with a sharp jab from a stick or a vicious insult. You quickly learn that your life depends on absorbing every lesson, every movement, every subtle shift of balance. They teach you to pivot on your feet, to block a thrust, to parry a strike. You're not just learning to fight, you're learning to survive. One of the first things you notice is the food. It's not the rich, fatty meat you might expect of a warrior's diet. It's mostly a thick, bland gruel made from barley, often called hordeum. This isn't just a cheap way to feed you, it's a deliberate strategy. The high-carb diet helps you put on weight, which might seem counterintuitive. Why would a fighter want to be heavy? Well, the extra layer of subcutaneous fat provides a buffer protecting your vital organs from shallow cuts and providing a little extra padding against bludgeoning blows. It's a grisly but practical detail. They're fattening you up like livestock, yes, but it's for your own protection in the arena. You also learn about the gladiator's drink, a bizarre concoction made from wood ash and water. The theory is that it helps to strengthen your bones and aid in recovery after hard training, though you can't help but wince every time you have to swallow the chalky, bitter liquid. Some of the old hands joke that it's just Bato's way of ensuring you'll be a better fighting skeleton when your time comes, a dark humor that you're slowly starting to understand. Your first real lesson in the arena's brutal etiquette comes not from a fight, but from a punishment. A young man, a former shepherd from Gaul, breaks down during a training session. He refuses to pick up his wooden sword, sobbing and shaking. The lead instructor, a grizzled veteran named Lucius, doesn't shout. He simply gestures to two of the bigger gladiators. They drag the terrified boy out into the central courtyard of the Ludus. In front of all the other trainees, Lucius calmly explains that a gladiator's life is not his own. The boy's refusal to train is a betrayal of Bato's investment, a defiance of the very purpose of his existence. With a cold efficiency that chills you to the bone, they whip the boy until he passes out, a stark reminder that this isn't a game. The rules are absolute, and the penalties for breaking them are swift and brutal. That night, you can still hear the phantom echoes of his screams, and you realize that your will to live must be stronger than your fear. This is a world of ritual and superstition. Before a big practice session, some of the gladiators will offer a small prayer to the gods, though which gods they choose varies wildly. A Spaniard might call upon the local gods of his homeland, while a Thracian might honor his own warrior deities. This mishmash of beliefs reflects the diverse origins of the men in the ludus. Some of the men even wear small talismans, bits of bone or smooth stones hidden under their tunics. You see a man from Egypt carefully tracing a symbol in the sand before a sparring match, a silent plea to a god you've never heard of. It's a small, poignant reminder of the lives they left behind, the cultures they were ripped from. The historians still debate whether these personal beliefs had any impact on their performance, or if it was simply a psychological crutch to help them face the inevitable. As the days turn into weeks, you begin to form a rudimentary understanding of the hierarchy. There are the newcomers like you, called the tiros. Then there are the veterans, the veterani men, who have survived multiple bouts and earned a certain respect even from Bato. These veterans often act as the training assistants, their scarred bodies a testament to their skill and a constant reminder of what you are striving for. They get slightly better food, a little more rest, and sometimes even a small measure of personal freedom within the walls of the ludus. They have learned to read the subtle signals of Beto, to anticipate his moods, and to curry favor where they can. You watch them trying to emulate their movements, their quiet confidence. They are the ones who have cracked the code, who have figured out the first rule of this world. The key to surviving the arena isn't just being a good fighter, it's being an investment. You see this in the weapons too. The wooden rudis you started with is eventually replaced by a real sword, a heavy, cold piece of iron that feels both alien and terrifying in your hands. But you're not given a choice in the matter. You're assigned a specific fighting style. This is a common practice, as gladiators were not all the same. There was a huge diversity in their equipment and techniques, and Bato, as a shrewd businessman, needs to fill his fighting stable with a variety of combatants to make the show interesting. You might be given a small shield and a short sword, a parma and a gladius, making you a thraex, a fighter in the style of the Thracians. Or perhaps you'll be given a large shield and a short sword, the style of a murmillo, named for a type of fish, and you'd have a helmet with a distinctive crest. Or maybe with a cruel twist of fate, you'll be made a retrius armed with nothing but a net, and a trident, a fighting style that some historians believe was meant to symbolize a fisherman against a fish. A spectacle of both grace and vulnerability. You are a tool, and your specialization is determined not by your preference, but by the market demand for a good show. The days are long, and the nights are filled with the moans and rustling of your fellow trainees. You dream of home, of a life where the most pressing concern was the next meal, not the next training session, where a misstep could mean a broken bone. You learn to block out the sounds and the smells, to retreat into your own mind. You try to remember the faces of your family, the feel of a soft breeze on your skin, the simple joy of an ordinary day. But the memories are fading, replaced by the muscle memory of a parry, the feel of a sword in your hand, and the gnawing hunger that is never truly satisfied. The old you is slowly being chiseled away, a new person forged in the crucible of this unforgiving place. You are no longer just a man. You are a gladiator in the making, and your survival now depends on fully embracing that brutal identity. The arena is not just a place you will fight, it is a place you will be remade. And the first lesson is this: in this world, there's no escape. There is only the next fight. The transition from a raw recruit to a proper trainee is subtle yet profound. The day you're handed a real sword and a shield, even if they are dull and heavy, feels like a grim graduation. You're no longer a tiro in the truest sense. You're an investment that Bato is starting to pour more resources into. He has determined that you have enough promise to be worth the cost of better equipment and more focused training. The feeling is a strange mix of pride and fear. Pride that you've survived this long, and fear that your next failure could be your last. You are now expected to spar not with the large wooden posts, but with other men. This is where the real lessons begin. Lessons about human unpredictability, about the way a person's fear can make them reckless, or their desperation can make them dangerous. Your first true sparring partner is a man from Germania. He is a giant of a man with arms like tree trunks and a face that seems permanently set in a grimace. He is a Mermaglio and he wields a heavy curved short sword and a massive rectangular shield. You, on the other hand, have been designated a Thraex, equipped with a small round shield and a curved dagger, a Sika designed to reach around an opponent's shield. The instructor Lucius barks at you both to begin. The German is slow but powerful. His every move is a testament to brute force his shield, a solid wall of wood and leather that seems impossible to breach. You, conversely, are expected to be fast, agile, a whirlwind of motion, meant to find the weak points in his defense. You dance around him, a buzzing gnat against a boulder. Your small shield is useless for blocking his full-power blows, so you must rely on deflecting and dodging, a constant, exhausting ballet of survival. He swings his sword, a massive arc of steel that would cleave you in two if it connected. You manage to duck under it, your dagger flashing out to nick his arm. The dull blade leaves a stinging mark, and for a second you see a flicker of surprise in his eyes. He is not used to being touched. He becomes more aggressive, his swings more wild, and you realize that a gladiator's emotional state is a weapon in itself. You can use his anger against him, make him overcommit, make him unbalanced. The fight is not just about muscle, it's a chess match played with steel. He makes a mistake, leaving a small opening in his guard as he lunges. It's a split second, a window of opportunity you're trained to recognize. You drive your dull dagger forward, not to wound, but to tap his exposed side, a clear strike that signals your victory in a real bout. The German grunts in frustration, but Lucius nods approvingly. You've earned a small measure of respect not just from the instructor, but from your fellow trainees. You are no longer just a body. You are a fighter with a particular set of skills. The training now becomes more specialized and intense. Your days are spent mastering your Thraex style. You learn to use your small shield as a weapon, to jab and to punch, to feint and to misdirect. You learn the precise angles of your curved dagger, the way to twist your wrist to make a cut more effective. The focus is on quick, decisive strikes that bypass your opponent's larger shield. You also have to learn to fight against all the other styles. You'll spar against men armed with nets and tridents, the retiarii, and men with heavy armor and big helmets, the secutores. Each style requires a different approach, a different mindset. The retiarius is a slippery opponent. You must avoid his net and get inside his reach. The secutor is a fortress. You must find a way to wear him down, to exhaust him before he can exhaust you. The variety of combat styles in the arena is a fascinating piece of Roman history, and it speaks to their love of spectacle. They wanted to see different types of fighters pitted against each other, a kind of live-action game of rock, paper, scissors where the stakes were life and death. Beyond the physical training, you are also being taught the performance aspect of your new profession. Beto's instructor, a man named Cassius, who once fought in the Colosseum, tells you that a gladiator is half warrior, half actor. The crowd loves a good show. They want to see courage, to see desperation, to see a dramatic struggle. A quick, clinical kill might be effective, but it's not always what the crowd wants. You are taught to play to the crowd, to taunt your opponent, to raise your sword in triumph, to make a show of your bravery, even when you are terrified. This is a subtle and complex skill. You are expected to be fierce and dangerous, but not so much so that the crowd fears you or thinks you're a monster. You are a hero of sorts, a tragic figure destined for either glory or a gruesome end. The historians still debate whether this focus on performance was a deliberate tool of social control, a way to channel the public's violent urges into a controlled theatrical environment, or if it was simply a byproduct of a society that loved entertainment. The politics of the ludus are as dangerous as the sparring matches. You learn to read the room to understand the subtle power dynamics at play. Bato, the lanista, is the undisputed master. His moods are a force of nature, and you learn to stay out of his way. Lucius, the head instructor, is his right-hand man, a cruel and efficient taskmaster who commands respect and fear in equal measure. Then there are the other gladiators. There are small cliques and rivalries, men who have been together for years, and men who despise each other. You have to navigate this social minefield carefully. You learn to be polite, to keep your head down, and to not make unnecessary enemies. A small slight against the wrong person could lead to a vicious training session, or worse, a subtle sabotage that costs you your life in the arena. You also learn that your success in the arena can make you a target. If you become too good, too popular, others will try to bring you down to ensure their own survival. There is a moment, a small, quiet moment, that crystallizes your new reality. You are sitting on your straw pallet after a grueling day of training. The air is still and heavy, and the sounds of the ludus are muted. Another trainee, a young man from Britain, who you've barely spoken to, is sitting nearby sharpening the point of a small piece of wood. He notices you watching and offers a grim smile. He doesn't speak Latin well, but he points to the piece of wood and then to the small, grimy stone hanging around his neck. It's an ambra stone, a piece of amber that he brought with him from his homeland. He gestures to it and then to the piece of wood, a silent way of saying that it brings him strength. You realize that beneath the armor and the gladiator persona, these are just men clinging to small reminders of the lives they once had. The fact that the Romans believed amber had protective powers and often wore it as a talisman against evil spirits is a little-known detail that connects the vastness of the Roman Empire to the personal beliefs of a single terrified gladiator. You start to develop a routine, a rhythm to this brutal life. Your body, once a source of pain and weakness, is slowly becoming a finely tuned machine. You are stronger, faster, and more aware of your surroundings. You eat your bland gruel, you drink your chalky water, and you train until your muscles scream. You learn to interpret Bato's moods, to read the signals from Lucius, and to trust your instincts in the sparring ring. You are a creature of this place now, and the outside world feels more and more like a distant dream. The roaring crowds, the dusty arenas, the clash of steel. These things are not yet your reality, but they are the inevitable destination towards which you are relentlessly marching. The gladiator you are becoming is a different person from the one who stumbled into this place. That person is gone, and this new one is all that remains. Your training culminates in a test. Bato and Lucius watch you intently as you face a series of other gladiators, each one a different style. You fight against a Myrmillo, a Retiarius, and finally a Hoplomachus, a fighter with a tall crested helmet, a large shield, and a lance. You have to show not just your skill, but your stamina, your courage, and your ability to adapt. The fights are brutal with no quarter given. You take a few hits, feel the sting of a blow, the graze of a dull blade, but you persevere. You use your speed and agility, your knowledge of your opponent's weaknesses. You defeat each one not by killing them, but by disabling them, by forcing them into a position where they would be at your mercy. Bato nods in satisfaction. You have passed the test. You are no longer just a trainee. You are now a Tiro, no more a gladiator ready for the arena. Your name, a new name, is given to you by Bato, a simple but powerful act of ownership. You are no longer who you were. You are who he says you are. And tomorrow you will have your first real taste of the arena. The air in the ludus is different today. It's a low hum of nervous energy, a tense quiet that hangs heavy in the morning light. You know without anyone saying a word that this is the day. Your first fight. You are not alone in this grim honor. A handful of other Tiros with faces pale and drawn are also preparing. They are a mix of different types, a brawny Murmillo, a wiry Retiarius, a stoic man from Egypt who fights with a tall shield and a straight sword. You don't speak much. There's nothing to say. You've all been through the same brutal training. You all know what's at stake. The preparation is methodical and, in its own way, ritualistic. A small, wizened man with a scarred face, a former gladiator who now serves as an armorer, meticulously checks your equipment. He tests the straps on your greaves, a type of leg armor, and the fit of your manica, a thick padded arm guard. He hands you a helmet, not the open-faced training helmet you're used to, but a heavy, intimidating bronze headpiece that encloses your entire face with only small eye slits for you to see out of. It's designed to protect you, but it also separates you from the crowd, from your own humanity. Once it's on, you're no longer a person. You're a gladiator, an object of entertainment. The metal is cold against your skin, and the world shrinks to a narrow view. The muffled sounds around you become your new reality. Before you leave the ludus bato himself, the lanista comes to speak to you. He doesn't offer words of encouragement or a fatherly pat on the back. His face is a mask of business-like calculation. He looks at you and the others as if you are horses before a race. He reminds you of your value of the investment he's made. Fight with honor, he says, but you know what he really means is fight to win, fight to entertain. Your success means money and prestige for him. Your death is a loss but not a crippling one. He has others to take your place. This is the first of many political lessons you will learn. You are a pawn in a game you did not choose to play. As you are led out of the ludus, you are not taken directly to the grand arena. Instead, you are paraded through the streets of the city. The crowds are already gathering, a loud, chaotic river of people cheering and jeering. You are a spectacle even before you fight. Men, women, and children all point and shout their faces, a mix of excitement and morbid curiosity. You can't see them through your helmet's eye slits, but you can feel their gaze, 1,000 pairs of eyes burning into your soul. You are a celebrity, but of the most fleeting and tragic kind. You know that for many of them you are already a dead man walking. This public procession is an important part of the Roman games. It builds up the anticipation for the spectacle to come, and it solidifies the gladiators' place as both heroes and objects of pity. The arena is a smaller one today, a local amphitheater in the city, not the massive Colosseum in Rome. But to you it feels as vast as the sky. You are led into a tunnel, a dark and cool passage that smells of damp earth and old fear. The noise from the crowd is a constant deafening roar, a sound that vibrates through the stone and into your bones. It's a living, breathing entity, a beast that demands to be fed. You stand there for a moment, a line of gladiators waiting for the gate to open. You are a collection of fear, adrenaline, and desperate hope. A joke you heard in the ludus surfaces in your mind? What do you call a gladiator who survives his first fight, a veteran? It's a dark and simple humor, a way of acknowledging the incredible odds you are about to face. The gate opens and you step out into the light. The sun is a blinding disk in a sky of a harsh, unforgiving blue. The sand beneath your feet is a soft, shifting cushion, and you notice with a morbid fascination the darker, coarser patches where past struggles have taken place. The crowd's roar intensifies and you can almost feel the air itself vibrating. The emperor, or in this case the local magistrate, is seated in a place of honor, surrounded by a retinue of officials. He raises a hand and the crowd goes silent, an abrupt cessation of sound that is even more terrifying than the noise. The games are about to begin. You are introduced to the crowd, your new name, and your fighting style announced for all to hear. You stand there, a solitary figure in a vast open space, your fate hanging in the balance. The other Tiro is chosen as your opponent. He's the stoic man from Egypt you saw earlier. He is a hoplomachus with a large shield and a tall feathered helmet. He looks just as terrified as you feel, but he holds himself with a quiet dignity. You've been trained for this exact matchup. The hoplomachus is strong and well protected, but he is not as fast or as agile as a Thraex. Your task is to use your speed to get around his large shield and strike at his exposed areas. The fight begins with a signal from the magistrate and the crowd erupts into a frenzy. It's an intoxicating sound, a mix of bloodlust and excitement that is both terrifying and strangely exhilarating. You circle each other, a dance of death. Your helmet restricts your vision and you have to rely on your training, your peripheral awareness, and your instincts. He lunges with his lance, a sharp, powerful thrust that you just manage to parry with your small shield. The impact sends a jolt up your arm and you realize how much stronger he is. You feint to your left, then to your right, trying to confuse him to make him overcommit. He is disciplined, though, and he keeps his shield a fortress. The fight becomes a test of endurance, a long, exhausting struggle in the sun. The sand gets in your boots and under your armor, and you can feel the sweat beading on your skin. You can hear the crowd's murmurs, their groans of impatience. They want to kill. They want to show. Suddenly a small detail from your training flashes in your mind. Lucius the instructor had once told you that a gladiator's weakness is often in his armor. The hoplomachus has a large shield. Yes, but it is heavy and he must expose a part of his body to move it effectively. You notice a flicker in his stance, a subtle shift in his weight. He's tired. You decide to risk it all. You dash in, feinting a high attack, and as he raises his shield, you drop low and slash with your Sika. The curved blade connects with the back of his knee. It's not a deep cut, but it's enough. He stumbles, his balance broken. He is now vulnerable. You have him at your mercy. You stand over him, your blade at his throat, and the crowd's roar changes from a general cacophony to a unified chant. Ugula, Ugula. They cry a single brutal word. Kill him. This is the moment of truth. You have defeated your opponent. Now you must wait for the magistrate to give the final verdict. You look up at the stands and your eyes find the magistrate's box. The man holds his thumb up. The crowd goes wild. A victory, and not just a victory, but a sign that you have spared your opponent. Sparing a defeated gladiator was a common practice, a mercy often granted to those who fought bravely. It was a detail that added to the theatricality of the games, a moment of suspense that the crowd adored. He will be led away to be healed, and to fight another day, a testament to the value of a skilled fighter. This act of mercy also gives you something else. It makes you a hero to the crowd, a fighter who is not just a killer, but a warrior with honor. The historians still debate whether this act of mercy was a sign of a gladiator's personal morality, or simply a shrewd calculation by the magistrate to keep a popular fighter alive for future spectacles. You raise your sword in triumph, and the crowd cheers your name. It's an intoxicating sound, a roar of approval that fills you with a sense of power you've never felt before. You are led away from the arena a victor. You are not a free man, but you are something more. You are a survivor. As you walk back into the dark tunnel, the sand from the arena still clinging to your boots, you realize that your life has changed forever. You have faced death and come out on top. You have learned the first and most important lesson of the arena to survive. You must not only fight, but you must also perform. You must have a style, and most importantly, you must understand the politics of the pit, from your lanista to the crowd itself. Your life is no longer your own, but your death is now a little further away. And that in this world is a victory in itself. Your first victory changes everything, and yet nothing at all. The celebration is brief. You are led back to the ludus, where you are tended to by a small team of medical slaves. They are skilled their hands, moving with a practiced efficiency that speaks of endless experience. Your small wound on your leg from a stray blow is cleaned and bandaged with a paste made from herbs and honey, and ancient and surprisingly effective anti-inflammatory. You're given a drink of wine diluted with water, a small reward for your performance. Then you're back on your straw pallet, the echoes of the crowd's cheers still ringing in your ears, a sweet but fading memory. The reality of the ludus quickly reasserts itself. You are still a slave, still the property of Beto, and there will be another fight and another until your luck or your skill finally runs out. But your status has changed. You are no longer just a Tiro. You are a veteraness in the making, a gladiator who has survived a bout. The other trainees look at you differently now, with a mix of respect and envy. The older, more experienced gladiators give you a small nod of acknowledgement. You've earned your stripes, a small but significant step up in the complex social hierarchy of the ludus. You now get a slightly larger ration of food, a few more hours of sleep, and a little more leeway in your training. Bato sees you as a more valuable asset now, an investment that has begun to show a return. He no longer looks at you with the same cold, calculating stare. Instead, there's a glint of possessive pride in his eyes. He is counting his future profits. Your training becomes more rigorous, more focused. The instructors now push you to refine your movements to perfect your style. You spend hours on the payless practicing your strikes and parries, your body, a finely tuned instrument of death. You're taught how to read your opponent's body language, the small tells that give away their next move. You learn how to use the sun to your advantage, how to shift your weight to conserve energy, and how to use the arena's own sandy surface to throw your opponent off balance. You are not just a fighter anymore, you are a master of your craft. It's a strange feeling, this dedication to a profession that could kill you at any moment. You are a craftsman of violence and you pour every ounce of your energy into perfecting your art because your life depends on it. The most important lesson you learn during this time is the art of the performance. Cassius, the former gladiator, takes you aside. He tells you that your first fight was good, but it lacked a certain something. The crowd loved your victory. He says his scarred face a mask of seriousness. But they need a story. They want a hero, a villain. You must give them a reason to cheer for you or to hate your opponent. He teaches you to add flair to your movements, a dramatic flourish to a victorious strike, a moment of hesitation before a final blow. You are taught to play to the emotions of the crowd, to use their cheers as a shield and their boos as a weapon. This is the politics of the pit, a different kind of combat altogether. You learn to make eye contact with the crowd, to hold their gaze, to make them feel like they are a part of your story. This is a subtle and complex skill, a dance between being a fearsome warrior and a charismatic performer. It's a bit like modern wrestling, but with real swords and real consequences. The historians still debate whether gladiators were more concerned with surviving the fight or with putting on a good show for the crowd. A historical fact you learn from Cassius is about the gladiatorial diet. While you've been eating your barley gruel, you discover that some gladiators, particularly the more successful ones, were also given a special kind of potion to strengthen their bodies. This drink, a bizarre mixture of vinegar, bone ash, and other ingredients, was believed to help them recover faster and to make their bones stronger. It was a common practice, a form of ancient sports medicine that was as much superstition as it was science. It's a little-known detail that gives you a glimpse into the strange world of Roman medical practices and their obsession with the physical prowess of their fighters. You also learn about the broader political landscape. Bato is not just a lanista, he is a part of a larger network of owners and patrons. He has rivals men who own other gladiatorial schools and who are constantly trying to poach his best fighters or sabotage his business. The matches you fight are not just random encounters. They are often arranged to settle old scores or to show off a new fighter. The crowds in the arena are not a monolithic entity. They are made up of different social classes, each with their own favorites and their own biases. The wealthy nobles in the front rows might cheer for the elegant Retiarius, while the common people in the back might prefer the brute force of a Murmillo. You learn to read these signals to understand who you are fighting for and what kind of story they want to see. This is a brutal truth you must accept. You are a tool in a larger political and social game, and your life is just a piece on the board. Your next fight comes a few months later. You are a different man now, more confident, more skilled. Your opponent is a veteran, a secutor with a reputation for being a formidable and unyielding opponent. He is a master of his craft, and he moves with a quiet, lethal grace. The fight is a spectacle of skill, a clash of two masters. He is a wall of steel, his large shield and heavy helmet, making him a walking fortress. You are the wind circling him, looking for the one small flaw in his armor. The fight is long and exhausting, a test of will and endurance. The crowd is on the edge of their seats, captivated by the drama. You use everything you've learned, your speed, your feints, your knowledge of his weaknesses. You manage to land a few glancing blows, but he is too well protected. Finally, in a moment of brilliant improvisation, you pretend to stumble a fake slip that makes him overcommit. He lunges and you use his momentum against him, twisting away and landing a decisive blow to his exposed calf. He falls and you stand over him, your blade at his throat. The crowd roars and the magistrate gives the thumb up. You have won again, and this time the victory is even sweeter. As you are led out of the arena, you feel a small pang of something you haven't felt in a long time: hope. You have survived not one but two fights. You have a reputation now. Your name is being whispered in the streets of the city. You are a valuable gladiator, and Bato will protect you as long as you continue to bring him fame and fortune. You are still a slave, but you are a slave with a purpose, a gladiator with a future, however grim it might be. The first steps to survival are complete. Now the real game begins. You have to keep winning, keep performing, and keep a cool head. Because in this world, a single mistake is all it takes to turn a hero into a forgotten pile of bones. And the truth is, you've grown to like the roar of the crowd. You've grown to crave it. It's a drug, a powerful elixir that makes the brutal reality of your life a little more bearable. The cycle of training and fighting continues. The taste of victory is a powerful stimulant, a drug that makes the pain of the daily grind a little more bearable. You've become accustomed to the routine, the stark rhythms of the ludus. The cold mornings, the bone-wearying practice sessions, the meager but consistent meals. Your body, once soft and unprepared, is now a collection of sinew and scar tissue. You're a lean, hardened warrior, and your reputation continues to grow with each victory. You have a handful of successful bouts under your belt, and your name is becoming a known quantity among the spectators. With this newfound success comes a slight loosening of the chains. Bato, ever the shrewd businessman, sees your popularity as a valuable asset. He is more willing to invest in your comfort and health. You are moved to a slightly larger cell, no longer sharing a cramped space with a dozen other trainees. You have a straw pallet all to yourself and a small cracked clay lamp that allows you a few hours of reading after the sun sets. You are also given better food, a small portion of meat on occasion, and more wine. These are not luxuries, they are calculated investments to keep you in peak physical condition. Beto knows that a healthy, happy gladiator is a better performer and a better investment. This is the politics of the pit, a system where your value is directly tied to your ability to entertain and survive. You also get to witness the darker side of the business. You see men once your companions fail in the arena. They are either killed outright or worse, brought back mortally wounded. The medical slaves do their best, but for some there is no hope. You are forced to watch as their final moments are spent in agony, a stark reminder of your own mortality. The funeral rites are brief and impersonal, and their bodies are unceremoniously taken away. They are a loss to Beto's ledger and a grim lesson for the rest of you. The historians still debate whether this constant exposure to death and violence hardened the gladiators, making them less human, or if it simply made them more determined to survive. You think it's a bit of both. You become desensitized to the brutal reality, but you also become fiercely protective of your own life. There's a fascinating detail about the gladiatorial profession that you come to appreciate: the camaraderie. Despite the intense rivalries and the constant threat of fighting each other, there is a strange sense of brotherhood among the gladiators. You are all in the same boat, all facing the same brutal fate. You share stories of your past lives, of your homelands and your families. The man who you once fought in the arena, the stoic Egyptian, is now one of your closest friends. You teach him a few words of your language, and he teaches you about the gods of his homeland. You offer each other small gestures of support, a helping hand during training, a shared joke after a long day. This sense of shared experience, this bond forged in the crucible of suffering, is the only thing that keeps you from succumbing to despair. One day, an event takes place that changes the routine of the ludus. A new gladiator arrives, a free man who has willingly signed on to be a fighter. This is a rare occurrence, as most gladiators are slaves, but it does happen. This man, a former soldier named Valerius, is a veteran of the Roman legions. He is a skilled fighter, but he lacks the desperate hunger of a slave. He fights with a grim determination, but without the flashy showmanship that the crowd craves. He is a curiosity to the other gladiators, a man who has chosen this life of his own free will. This highlights a little-known historical fact. While the vast majority of gladiators were slaves, some free Romans, either seeking fame, fortune, or simply a way to clear their debts, would voluntarily become gladiators. Valerius, in his own way, teaches you another lesson. He tells you that the crowd doesn't care about your past. They don't care that you were a soldier, or a farmer, or a slave. They care about what you are in the moment, a performer. He is a good fighter, but he is not a good showman. He is booed by the crowd, not for his lack of skill, but for his lack of flair. He wins his fights, but he doesn't capture the hearts of the spectators. This is a crucial mistake because the crowd's affection is your only real shield in the arena. A popular gladiator is more likely to be spared by the magistrate, more likely to have a longer career, and more likely to eventually win his freedom. Valerius's grim, no-nonsense approach to fighting is effective, but it is not what the Roman public wants. You realize that your own survival depends on your ability to walk that fine line between being a lethal warrior and a charismatic entertainer. You continue to hone your craft not just as a fighter, but as a performer. You learn to make your movements more dramatic to add a sense of theater to your fights. You learn to play the villain or the hero depending on your opponent and the mood of the crowd. You learn to read the subtle signals from the magistrate to know when to push for a kill and when to spare your opponent. This is a dangerous game, a tightrope walk between life and death. The reward, however, is immense. Your reputation grows, and with it, your value. You are now one of Beto's most prized gladiators, a star in his stable. This rise in status comes with an unexpected perk. You are given a small pouch of coins, a small portion of your winnings. This is a rare and precious gift, a sign of Beto's favor. It's a tiny bit of freedom, a small piece of a world you thought you had lost forever. You use the coins to buy small luxuries, a new tunic, a better pair of sandals, or a small gift for one of your friends. The coins are a tangible symbol of your success, a reminder that your struggle has a purpose beyond mere survival. They represent a glimmer of hope, a tiny flicker of a dream, that you've been too afraid to acknowledge the dream of one day buying your freedom. The politics of the pit are now at the forefront of your mind. You are no longer just a fighter, you are a commodity, a brand. The other gladiators, both veteran and novice, now see you as a target. They want what you have, the fame, the fortune, the chance at freedom. The friendships you've forged are still real, but they are tinged with a new level of suspicion. You have to be careful to trust no one completely. Your life depends on it. This is the final lesson of this stage of your journey in this brutal world. You can rely on no one but yourself. Your skill, your wit, and your ability to read the political landscape are your only true weapons. The day you receive the news, it's not an announcement, but a whisper that spreads through the ludus like a brush fire. You're going to the Colosseum, not just to fight in a local provincial amphitheater, but to the grandest stage in the world, the heart of the Roman Empire. The very name of the place, the Flavian Amphitheater, evokes a sense of both awe and dread. It's a place of legends where gladiators become heroes or corpses, where the emperor himself watches the spectacle. This isn't just another fight, it's the Super Bowl of the Roman world, a chance to prove yourself on the ultimate stage. The journey to Rome is a new experience, a brief glimpse of the world you once belonged to. You and a small group of Beto's most successful gladiators are chained together and loaded onto a cart, but the journey is not as grueling as you might expect. You are valuable cargo, and Bato makes sure you are fed and watered. You see the countryside, the vast fields of grain, the rolling hills dotted with villas and vineyards. You see a Roman world in motion, and it feels like a dream. The city itself is a shock to the senses, a chaotic, sprawling metropolis of marble temples, crowded streets, and towering aqueducts. The noise is a constant, overwhelming roar, a symphony of commerce and life. You are just a small part of this, a commodity being transported to its final destination. You are housed in the Ludus Magnus, the great gladiatorial school, right next to the Colosseum itself. It's a massive complex, a city within a city with its own training grounds, barracks, and even a hospital. The scale of the place is staggering, and the gladiators here are a different breed. They are the best of the best, the champions from all corners of the empire. You see a veteran gladiator, his body a map of scars, walking with a swagger that speaks of years of survival. You see a champion rhetorius, his net and trident a blur of motion as he practices. The air crackles with a new kind of energy, a mix of ruthless competition and grim professionalism. The training here is even more intense. The instructors are the best in the business, and they push you to your limits, refining your technique to a razor's edge. You are now fighting against men who have survived hundreds of fights, men who have a sixth sense for a killing blow. You learn to be quicker, to be smarter, to use every single one of your opponent's mistakes against him. The lessons are brutal, but they are also a chance to learn from the masters. A little-known fact that you learn is that the gladiatorial schools had a very structured curriculum with different trainers specializing in specific styles of combat. You're not just training, you're attending the most dangerous college in the world, and the tuition is paid in sweat and blood. The politics of the pit become even more complex in the Ludus Magnus. You are no longer just a fighter from a small town. You are a representative of Beto, and your success reflects on him. The rivalries between the different Lanistae are fierce, and they use their gladiators as pawns in a constant game of one-upmanship. You hear stories of gladiators being poisoned or sabotaged by their rivals, of entire schools being wiped out in a single night of violence. This is a brutal high-stakes world, and you realize that your own survival depends not just on your skill, but on Beto's political savvy and ability to protect you. The historians still debate whether gladiatorial rivalries were more about personal animosity or simply a reflection of the business interests of their owners. You suspect it's a bit of both. The night before your fight in the Colosseum is a strange and surreal experience. You are given a special feast, a lavish dinner of rich foods and wine, a meal that you are told to enjoy because it might be your last. This is the Cena Libra, the public dinner where gladiators are celebrated before their final walk to the arena. The citizens of Rome come to see you, to cheer for you, and to place bets on your life. You are a celebrity, a hero, and a sacrificial lamb all at once. The feeling is intoxicating and terrifying. You are on display, a piece of meat to be judged and consumed. You make eye contact with a young woman in the crowd, her eyes filled with a strange mix of admiration and pity. You offer her a small, tight smile, a gesture of your own defiance in the face of your grim fate. The next morning, you are paraded through the streets of Rome, a part of a massive procession that leads to the Colosseum. The crowd is a sea of faces, a wave of noise and color that is beyond anything you've ever experienced. The scale of the city, the grandeur of its architecture, and the sheer number of people all combine to create a sense of being both a hero and an insect. Then you see it for the first time, the Colosseum. It is a massive, awe-inspiring structure of stone and arches, a monument to human ambition and cruelty. It is a symbol of Rome, and it is a symbol of your own impending mortality. You are led into a tunnel, a wide, dark passage that leads to the arena floor. You are a part of a line of gladiators, all walking toward the same destiny. The air is thick with the smell of animals, of sweat, and of old blood. The roar of the crowd is a physical presence, a sound that shakes the very ground you walk on. You are no longer just a gladiator. You are a performer on the world's biggest stage. Your reputation, your life, and your legacy are all on the line. The training, the pain, the loneliness, it all comes down to this one moment. You are about to step out into the light, and you will either become a legend or a memory. The smell of the arena is something you will never forget. It's a mix of hot sand blood and the scent of wild animals waiting in the chambers below the floor. The roar of the crowd is a living thing, a thousand-headed beast that greets you as you step into the blinding sunlight. The Colosseum is even more massive than you could have imagined, its tiered seats rising up to meet the sky, a spectacle of human engineering and cruelty. You are just a tiny figure in the center of it all, a single gladiator in a sea of faces. You feel a strange sense of insignificance and purpose all at once. Your opponent is a Myrmidon, a massive man with a heavy shield and a grim expression. He is a veteran of the Ludus Magnus, and his body is a testament to his long career, covered in a network of scars that tells a story of 100 battles. He has the confident swagger of a man who has faced death and laughed in its face. He is a walking fortress, his armor, a shield against your attacks. You, on the other hand, are the agile Thraex with your small shield and curved dagger. You are a contrast of styles, and the crowd loves it. They are here to see a clash of titans, and you are ready to give them a show. The fight begins with the sound of a trumpet, a clear, sharp note that cuts through the roar of the crowd. You circle each other, a slow, methodical dance of death. He is patient, waiting for you to make a mistake. You are fast probing his defenses, looking for a weak point. His shield is a solid wall, and his sword is a lethal arc of steel. You block a heavy blow with your small shield, and the impact sends a jolt up your arm. You realize that you cannot win this fight with brute force. You have to be smarter, faster, and more creative. The historians still debate whether gladiators were trained to fight to the death or to injure their opponents in a way that would allow the crowd to decide their fate. You, however, are just focused on staying alive. You use the skills you've learned, the feints and misdirections, the dramatic movements. You play to the crowd and you can feel their energy, their bloodlust, their desire for a kill. You know that if you can capture their attention, if you can make them believe in your story, you might have a chance. You manage to land a few glancing blows, small nicks on his armor and his shield, but they are not enough. He is a rock, and you are a wave, a constant assault that seems to have no effect. The fight is long and exhausting, and you can feel your muscles screaming in protest. The heat of the sun, the weight of your armor, and the sheer physicality of the struggle are starting to take their toll. In a moment of desperation, you remember a lesson from Cassius, your old instructor. He told you that a gladiator's weakness is often in his emotional state. You begin to taunt your opponent, not with words, but with a look in your eyes. You make him angry, make him overcommit, make him unbalanced. It's a dangerous game, but it's the only one you have. He takes the bait. He lunges at you with a wild, desperate cry, his shield held high. It's a classic mistake, and you seize the opportunity. You duck under his shield, your curved dagger flashing out to strike at his exposed leg. The blade connects a clean, sharp cut that makes him stumble. The crowd roars its approval. He is now at your mercy. You stand over him, your blade at his throat, and you look up at the stands. The emperor himself is there, a powerful figure in his purple robes, and he holds his thumb up. But it's not the thumb up you expect. It's not a sign of mercy. It's a thumb down, the sign of death. The crowd's roar changes from a triumphant cheer to a bloodthirsty chant. Ugula, Ugula. They cry, kill him. Kill him. The emperor has made his decision. You must kill your opponent. The man looks up at you, his eyes filled with a grim acceptance. He has fought with honor, and he is ready to die with dignity. You hesitate for a moment, your heart pounding in your chest. You are a fighter, but you are not a killer. You have never taken a life before, but you know that if you refuse, you will be the next to die. You can feel the weight of the emperor's gaze on you, the pressure of 1,000 eyes, the bloodlust of a crowd that wants to see a spectacle of death. You have to make a choice, and you know that there is only one choice that will allow you to survive. With a grim determination, you plunge your dagger into his chest, a quick, clean kill that ends his life in a moment. The crowd erupts in a frenzy of applause and cheers. You have done your duty. You have become a killer. As you walk out of the arena, the blood on your hands is not just his, but a part of a larger system of violence and death. You have crossed a line, and there is no going back. You have won, but you have also lost a piece of your soul. Your first fight in the Colosseum is over, and you have survived, but you have paid a high price for your victory. The roar of the crowd is no longer a sweet sound. It is a deafening reminder of the brutal reality of your life. You are a hero to them, a champion, but you are also a slave, a killer, and a pawn in a game you did not choose to play. And you know that your next fight and the one after that will be even more brutal. The weeks following your victory in the Colosseum are a blur of training and quiet reflection. The memory of your opponent's face, the grim acceptance in his eyes as you delivered the final blow, haunts your dreams. You are no longer just a fighter. You are a killer, and the realization weighs on you. The camaraderie among the gladiators, once a source of comfort, now feels different. You've crossed a line that many of them have crossed before, and they look at you with a new kind of understanding. You are a part of their grim fraternity, a member of a club you never wanted to join. The historians still debate the psychological toll that this constant violence took on gladiators and whether they were able to maintain a sense of humanity in a world that demanded their savagery. Your newfound fame in Rome, however, brings new opportunities. Bato is ecstatic. His star gladiator has not only survived the Colosseum, but has also performed with a deadly grace that has captured the public's imagination. You are now a hot commodity, a brand. Beto begins to use you for a different kind of show, one that takes you outside the arena. He is a shrewd businessman, and he understands that your value extends beyond the sand. He has a wealthy patron, a powerful Roman senator named Lucilius, who has taken an interest in your career. This is a crucial step in the politics of the pit, as a powerful patron can be a gladiator's best shield against death. One day you are summoned to Lucilius's villa, a sprawling, opulent estate on the outskirts of the city. It's a world away from the dust and blood of the ludus. The air smells of fresh flowers and expensive perfumes. The floors are made of polished marble, and the walls are adorned with intricate mosaics and frescoes. You are no longer a slave or a fighter. You are a guest, a curiosity. Lucilius, a portly man with a jovial face and a cunning gleam in his eyes, greets you with a hearty handshake. He speaks to you not as a slave, but as a valued asset. He asks you about your training, your fighting style, and your life. He is a collector of fine things, and you are his latest acquisition, a human work of art. He introduces you to his other guests, a mix of wealthy merchants, beautiful women, and powerful politicians. You are on display, a living, breathing artifact of the Roman games. The guests ask you questions, their voices filled with a morbid fascination. They ask you about your fights, about the feel of a sword in your hand, and about the fear of facing death. You answer them with a practiced ease, giving them the story they want to hear. You are a performer even outside the arena. This is a subtle and dangerous game. You have to be respectful but not servile. You have to be impressive but not intimidating. You have to be a gladiator but not a monster. It's a tightrope walk between being a hero and being an animal, and your survival depends on your ability to find the right balance. A little-known fact that you learned during this time is that some gladiators were trained not just for the arena, but for a different kind of combat bodyguarding. Wealthy Romans like Lucilius would often hire gladiators as personal protectors, a sign of their power and prestige. This was a lucrative business for Lanistae, and it was a way for a successful gladiator to earn a living outside the arena. It was a chance at a different kind of life, a life of relative comfort and safety, but it came with its own set of risks. You realize that your value to Lucilius is not just as a fighter, but as a symbol of his power, a living testament to his influence. During your time at the villa, you meet a young woman named Livia, a beautiful and intelligent slave who works as a handmaiden to Lucilius's wife. She is a Greek slave, a captive from a conquered city, and she shares your sense of being a stranger in a strange land. You talk to her for hours and you find a kindred spirit, a person who understands your feelings of displacement and loneliness. She tells you about her life, about her home, and about her hopes for a better future. You, in turn, tell her about your life in the ludus, about the pain and the struggle, but also about the small victories and the friendships you've forged. This is a different kind of connection, a human connection that you thought you had lost forever. It is a small piece of light in the darkness of your life. Your time at the villa is a short-lived escape, a brief moment of peace. You are brought back to the ludus, and the harsh reality of your life reasserts itself. But something has changed. You now have a powerful patron, a connection to the world outside the arena, a glimmer of hope that your life might not end in the sand. You have also met Livia, a person who reminds you of your own humanity. This is a dangerous thing, this feeling of hope, because in the brutal world of the arena, hope is a luxury you cannot afford. It makes you vulnerable, it makes you care, and it makes the thought of death all the more terrifying. You realize that your path is no longer just about surviving the next fight. It's about navigating the political landscape, about cultivating your reputation, and about using your skills to find a way out of this life. Your victory in the Colosseum has opened a door, but it is a door to a new and even more dangerous game. You are a pawn in a game of power and influence, and you must learn to play it well if you want to survive. And you have a new reason to fight, not just for your own life, but for the possibility of a different kind of future, a future that might include Livia, a future that might include freedom. Your return to the Ludus Magnus is different this time. You're no longer just a gladiator, you're a man with a purpose. The long days of training, the grueling practice sessions, and the meager meals, they all have a new meaning now. You are not just fighting for survival, you are fighting for a future that includes a quiet life and a woman named Livia. This hope, however, is a dangerous thing. It makes you reckless. It makes you take risks you wouldn't have taken before. And in a world where a single mistake can mean death, recklessness is a luxury you cannot afford. Your next fight is announced and your opponent is a shock. It is the same Murmillo you fought in the Colosseum, the one you were forced to kill. But this is not the man you remember. This is a different man, a younger man with the same grim determination and the same fighting style. He is his brother, a man who has come to the Ludus Magnus to avenge his brother's death. The moment you see him, a chill runs down your spine. He looks at you with a cold, unforgiving hatred in his eyes. He is not just fighting for victory, he is fighting for revenge. This is a personal vendetta, a story that the crowd will love. Bato, ever the master of spectacle, has arranged this fight to be a clash of personal histories, a drama of vengeance that will sell out the Colosseum. The historians still debate how often such grudge matches were arranged in the Roman games, and whether they were more about personal honor or simply a way to sell more tickets. You suspect it's the latter. The days leading up to the fight are tense. The other gladiators know the story, and they look at you with a mix of pity and fear. You are a marked man, a target for a vengeful warrior. You try to train as usual, but your mind is elsewhere. You are haunted by the memory of his brother's face, the grim acceptance in his eyes. You are not just fighting a man, you are fighting a ghost, a memory that you cannot escape. You try to talk to his brother to explain that you had no choice, that it was the Emperor's will, but he refuses to listen. His hatred is a wall, a solid fortress that you cannot breach. He wants a fight to the death, and he wants you to pay for his brother's blood with your own. The day of the fight arrives, and the atmosphere in the Colosseum is electric. The crowd is on the edge of their seats, a sea of faces waiting to see a story unfold. You are paraded into the arena, your name and your opponent's name announced to a roar of anticipation. The Emperor himself is in attendance, a symbol of the power that controls your fate. Your opponent, the vengeful Murmillo, stands across from you, his face a mask of cold fury. This is not just a fight, it's a reckoning. The fight begins, and it is a brutal affair. He is a master of his craft, and he fights with a ferocity that is born of pure hatred. He is relentless, a storm of steel and muscle that you can barely withstand. You are forced to be defensive, to parry his heavy blows, to dodge his quick strikes. He is a fortress of rage, and you are a whirlwind of defense. The crowd is on its feet, captivated by the drama. They love the story of a brother seeking revenge, and they are cheering for him. You, on the other hand, are the villain, the killer who must be punished. You use all the skills you've learned, the feints, the misdirections, the dramatic movements. You try to turn the crowd to make them see you as a hero, a man who had no choice. But it's no use. Their hatred for you is a physical thing, a wave of energy that you can feel pressing down on you. He manages to land a few blows, a heavy punch from his shield that sends a jolt through your body, a quick jab from his sword that grazes your arm. You are starting to tire, and you know that you cannot keep this up forever. You have to find a way to end this, to find an opening, a weakness in his armor of hatred. In a moment of desperation, you remember a lesson from Cassius? A gladiator's weakness is his emotion. You stop defending and you go on the offensive. You charge at him with a wild cry, your Sika flashing out to strike at his exposed leg. He is taken by surprise. He parries your blow, but he is off balance. You use his momentum against him, a quick twist of your body that sends him sprawling to the sand. The crowd goes silent, a collective gasp of surprise. You stand over him, your blade at his throat, and you look up at the Emperor. The Emperor's eyes are on you, a cruel smirk on his face. He raises his thumb, and you know what he wants. He wants a kill. He wants a spectacle. But you have a choice. This is not the same as before. You are not an inexperienced tyro anymore. You are a seasoned gladiator, a performer, a man with a purpose. You look at the man on the ground, his eyes filled with a mix of defiance and fear. You look at the Emperor, his thumb still raised, and you make your choice. You drop your sword, a loud clatter that echoes in the silent arena. You look at the Emperor and you shake your head. You refuse to kill him. You refuse to be a pawn in his game. The crowd erupts in a mix of boos and cheers, a cacophony of sound that is both angry and appreciative. You have defied the Emperor, and you have spared a life. It is a dangerous, reckless choice, and you know that it could cost you your own life. The silence in the Colosseum is deafening. You stand in the center of the arena, your sword on the ground, a single figure of defiance against the will of an emperor and the bloodlust of a crowd. The emperor, his face a mask of cold fury, stares down at you. You have publicly disobeyed him, and in the Roman world there is no greater crime. The crowd a moment ago a roaring sea of voices is now a silent gaping maw waiting to see what will happen next. You can feel their eyes on you, a thousand pairs of burning coals, and you know that your life hangs by a single fragile thread. But then a murmur begins. It starts as a whisper, a small sound in the back rows, and it grows into a wave of sound that spreads through the entire amphitheater. It is not the sound of anger or disappointment. It is the sound of respect. The crowd which a moment ago wanted to see a kill now sees something different. They see a hero, a man who has chosen honor over death, a man who has defied the most powerful man in the world. The story they came for was a story of vengeance and death. The story you gave them was a story of mercy and humanity, and in a world of brutal violence, that is a story worth telling. The Emperor's thumb, still poised for death, slowly, almost imperceptibly turns to the side. He is a politician, and he knows when he has been outmaneuvered. He cannot kill a hero in front of a cheering crowd. He gives the signal for mercy, and the crowd roars its approval. Your opponent, the vengeful Murmillo, is led away defeated but alive. And you, a gladiator who has just refused to kill, are led out of the arena a hero. The victory is not a victory of strength, but a victory of spirit. You have won your freedom not in the traditional sense of a wooden sword, but in a deeper, more profound way. You have proven that even in the most brutal of circumstances, you can hold on to your humanity. You are no longer a slave to your own fear or to the will of the emperor. You are a free man, at least in your own mind. Your return to the Ludus Magnus is a celebration. The other gladiators, even the ones who once saw you as a rival, now see you as a legend. You have done what none of them dared to do. You have defied the emperor and lived to tell the tale. Bato, your owner, is both furious and ecstatic. He is furious that you risked his most valuable asset, but he is ecstatic that you have become a living legend, a hero whose name will be whispered in the streets of Rome for generations to come. He knows that your value is now immeasurable and he cannot afford to lose you. The politics of the pit now work in your favor. Your patron Lucilius is thrilled with your performance. You have given him a story to tell at his dinner parties, a testament to his own influence and power. He sees you not just as a fighter, but as a symbol of Roman virtue, a hero for the ages. He uses his influence to arrange for your official manumission, a legal process that grants you your freedom. You are no longer Beto's property. You are a free man, and you are given the rudis, a wooden sword that symbolizes a gladiator's retirement and freedom. This is a profound and moving moment, a culmination of all your struggles and all your pain. You are given a small stipend, a sum of money that will allow you to start a new life. You leave the Ludus Magnus a free man, a gladiator who has survived the arena and the Colosseum. You go to find Livia, the slave girl you met at Lucilius's villa. You use your newfound freedom and influence to buy her freedom as well. You are no longer just a man fighting for his own survival. You are a man fighting for the future of someone you love. The story of your life, once a tale of violence and death, is now a tale of hope and redemption. You have found a new purpose, a new reason to live. The legacy of a gladiator is not just in the number of fights he has won, or the number of opponents he has killed. It is in the story he leaves behind, a story that is etched not in sand, but in the memory of a people. You are no longer a fighter, but your story, the story of the gladiator who refused to kill, is a story that will be told for generations to come. Your life, once a brutal and violent affair, is now a symbol of a different kind of strength, the strength of the human spirit. The historians still debate the true nature of gladiatorial mercy and whether it was an act of personal honor or a calculated performance. For you, it was the only way to survive with your soul intact. As you and Livia walk away from the bustling city of Rome, a new life stretches out before you, a life of quiet peace and simple joy. You have earned your freedom not with a sword, but with a simple act of mercy. You are a free man and you are ready to face the next chapter of your life. The story of the gladiator is over and the story of a man begins.